Hello, good evening, and welcome to Theatre in the Apocalypse, episode 8. Today I'm talking to Alice Malseed. Alice is a writer and theatre maker from Belfast in Northern Ireland. Most recently, her play Haven appeared at the Origin First Irish Theatre Festival in New York, and that was directed by Rhiannon Jeffrey. And her writing credits for theatre include Jade City, which was performed at the Bunker in London. Am I right, Alice?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
In
Also,
September.
right. So she's also co-created and produced Billy, which was shortlisted for the Spirit of Wit Award at the Dublin Fringe Festival in 2018. Writer, again, and this play developed with the Lyric Theatre new playwrights program, Tongue. And she's also written and performed Jellyfish and the critically acclaimed It's Getting Harder and Harder for Me. Alice was part of the BBC Writers' Room Belfast Voices Development Group in 2018 and 2019. She's a graduate in drama and theatre arts and applied drama from Goldsmiths University. And in 2016, Alice actually came to Sri Lanka and worked with Mind Adventures. She created a show with Arun Velandawe Premathilaka, who was our associate artistic director at the time. It was called Better Than Ever Before, and that was during our year as artist in residence, at the British Council. Alice, hello.
Hi. Hey. Hey, what's up?
How are you doing? What's
yeah,
up with
I'm
you?
good. Not a whole lot. Trying to write, trying to read, watching a lot of Netflix. I was drinking a lot of gin, but I've even got bored of that now. So just trying to get through the weeks.
Yeah, I'm kind of envious of the gin because we didn't have even that.
No way, really?
Yeah. For more than 2 months, actually, we had none of that. I mean, it was trying times.
So could you not buy alcohol in the shops, or?
Well, we weren't just in lockdown. We were under curfew.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, for nearly 2 months, and so we couldn't go out at all, and pretty much everywhere was shut down. So we couldn't go out. Towards the end of our curfew period, it came to a point where we could go out on a day that was assigned to the last number of our identity cards. So were you doing anything in particular before lockdown happened? Like, were you working, and did you find projects just dead in the water?
Yeah, well, I had kind of two main things that I was developing. Well, and I also had a big facilitation project with children that was about to start. So basically, it was a project to kind of educate like local settled people in Belfast about the fact that there's more refugee and asylum seekers coming here. So I was going to go into schools and deliver workshops about, we have a lot of Syrians coming here at the minute, which is really lovely.
Okay.
But there's been like quite a lot of kind of unrest and questions asked in the communities they go to. So it was going to be a really cool project and like really, really important about kind of educating people about the journeys these refugee asylum seekers has been on. But that was just cancelled, which was really annoying because it's like one of my favorite projects to do. So that was just like cancelled, which like I lost the work, but I also lost like quite a lot of money, which is really annoying. And then I had another project in development, and on the first week of April, we were meant to kind of start like phase 2 of development with 5 actors. So it started as an adaptation of Lysistrata, so the Greek play about the women who go on sex strike to stop a war.
Yeah.
But like the more I wrote a redraft of that, but like set in Belfast in the 90s. So the plan was that like these women were trying to stop this loyalist feud, like a feud between two kind of rival gangs of basically like brutish, thuggish men. but I thought it would like resonate in the present day, but like the more I looked at it, it was just very like sterile, because like the original Greek play is a little bit sterile. Like there's not a lot that goes on in it.
Yeah.
Other than like they're like, yeah, men suck. Okay, yeah, men suck. But like it didn't have like, it wasn't like intersectional at all. So my collaborator Sarah Baxter and I realized that we needed to like really, really, really go deep about like what are the small like internal wars that women have to fight, and what is the joy as well, like what is the joy of being a woman. So anyway, we were meant to kind of take that to the next stage, and we got support from the MAC, which is a big producing theatre here in Belfast, and like really supports all different types of artists. So it was really annoying to have that stop, because like I've kind of got like a little ball of fire for that project, but like I've just kind of had to like pack it away. So I feel a little like, I guess like impotent with it. Like I couldn't like progress. But then one good thing was that I had a commission for another play, and I just had never really I'd never made the time to write it. But I was able to do that. So it was good. Like it was good. And I've kind of got to draft 4. It's nearly finished. But it's like frustrating, because I don't want it to just like sit in a hard drive somewhere. I want to get it put on, but I don't know when that'll be possible, which is really annoying. Yeah. But yeah, I've kind of kept myself busy, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess pretty much everything is open in Belfast except theatres and cinemas, is it?
Cinemas are officially allowed to open today, but I haven't actually heard of anything opening.
Okay.
We got restaurants and bars opened last Friday. We got gyms open today. It's weird, like you can go to a restaurant and you can like go to a bar, but you can't like go and get a smear test, or you can't get like a skin, if you have like a cancer scare, you can't go and do that, because like the health service isn't back up and running. So it's like,
oh,
do you know what I mean?
Wow.
It's like really blunt the way they've done it. Like you can go and get pissed, but like say you can't go and get like therapy for your child. So it's like
really, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really annoying. Like there was a lot of people saying on Twitter, like gynecologists need to start selling burgers so that they can start doing their jobs again.
Yeah.
So like it seems like normality is returning if you like look at the high street, but actually like, yeah, I think there's still like a lot of work that needs to be done.
That's really frightening.
I know.
But I mean, hospitals are open for like COVID testing and stuff.
Yeah, of course. They're open for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, say you had like an emergency, I think it would be fine. But because like the health service here in Northern Ireland is like so massively under-resourced, like they were so scared that it was gonna just collapse if it got a wave of any sort of influx. So they kind of stopped all like routine procedures, like they stopped chemotherapy, for example, for people.
Wow.
Like I know. So as far as I know, they haven't started stuff like that up again. Like you can't go and get like a GP appointment in your doctors. You can talk to them on the phone, but you can't like go in and talk to them, or you know.
Oh, meet them at the pub.
Yeah, meet them at the pub, exactly, which used to be common practice. But yeah, theaters I don't know when theaters will be reopening. Like theaters anywhere where it's like a large group of people coming together, I think the government are just really hesitant to. But yeah, I don't know. You're allowed to do theater outdoors, but I mean, that's a lovely idea if you live somewhere with like the right climate, but no.
Nah.
Not here.
Yeah. Oh. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your work. So this seems like the perfect place to get into it.
Cool.
And I've been reading all about you for a while now, Alice. And there's a line in one of your plays, It's Getting Harder and Harder for Me, where it says, we're all in trauma. It's obvious our roller coasters have crashed. Interpreting that in terms of COVID-19, would it be safe to say your roller coaster has crashed?
Oh my God. See, when I was writing that, like, I had no idea how bad, how bad shit was gonna get, did I? I don't know. I actually feel like, personally, in myself, I feel probably brighter than I did when I was writing stuff like that. So I don't know if my roller coaster has crashed, but maybe I'm just a lot more jaded. I'm just like, I've given up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, definitely I'm really worried about like how difficult it is to build a career in the arts, and like how, like, it seems like there's such little hope for the future for it. So yeah, like, the roller coaster has definitely derailed. I haven't given up yet. I haven't given up on myself or the industry, but like, yeah, it's definitely derailed. It's yeah, I think that, like, I still have belief in my writing and my voice, but like, I don't
Yeah.
have that belief every day. So, but like, who does? Which artist does? I'm not sure. But
No, I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of why we're doing this, just to reach out to people to find out how they're doing, and then to say also, don't worry, we are in the same boat. We're all
yeah,
just kind of holding on and hoping that things are going to change. And it must be
yeah,
the same with all your colleagues as well, isn't it? Just
yeah,
everyone.
yeah, completely. I think people, like, it's so up and down. Like, it does actually feel like being on a roller coaster. Like, it's so up and down. Like, today I feel okay, but like, I guess like last week I couldn't do anything, like, I couldn't, like, sit and read a book. I couldn't write anything. It's like coming in bursts of like, everything's amazing. Oh my God, look at all this spare time you have. You can write whatever you want.
Mm,
Like, there's so much in front of you. And then the next day it's like, but what's the point?
yeah, everything's
Why bother?
over.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Children, don't do this ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Go and be a doctor or something sensible.
Yes, yes. Going to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Over here, it felt like we were sort of turning a corner in terms of, everyone not wanting to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Kind of looking at the arts as a viable option. And now it's like, well, no, don't give up your day job.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know it's so fragile, but like, it always has been so fragile, I guess, in a place where it's like completely under resourced and unsupported and like marginalized. Um and it's kind of not able, like, I guess the arts industry isn't able to really be understood by like the rest of economics, because it's like
Yes.
works in such a weird way. So
Yeah.
like, of course it's going to be the first thing that people go, oh, okay, like, we can do without that for
Oh,
a
that's
while.
not an essential
Yeah.
service. That's
Yeah.
not so. So, is there support for Northern Ireland artists? Is there
Yeah,
through your art council?
there's a little bit of support, yeah, which is good. So like, well, I am saying this as someone who like got their shit together on time, but like, that was a fluke. Like, they basically, the Arts Council announced a fund. I think it was £500,000. And you could apply, an individual could apply for up to 5,000 of that. So that's
Okay.
500,000 sounds pretty good. But then you realize that if 100 people apply for £5,000, then that's only 100 people who can get the award. So like,
Oh
somebody said
God.
that to me like the day of the announcement, and I was like, shit, okay. So just got something in like 24-hour period. Um, so I got some money.
Yeah.
But like, it's nothing, like, it's good, obviously, but like, I lost probably triple the amount of work that the award is. So um like, I had friends who kind of took their time and like submitted their applications to other theatre companies and tried to like really put together a really good application. And then by the time they went to do that, the pot had closed. So it's like, oh my God, it was really not a good time. And then it almost felt like people were kind of going, oh, she got this amount of money. Oh, he got this amount of money. Oh, it was like ugly. It was kind of divisive. And then like the government gave, if you were self-employed, the government gave us something like 80% of our average earnings from the previous 3 months. But it was like it was like a joke. It was like, only if you earn less than 50% of, or more than 50% of your income through self-employment, only if this, only if this, only if this. So it was like it was not fun. So yeah, there is support, but not like, it's not going to change anybody's life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll pay a few bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't replace the just the sheer importance of like the network and the community of making art, like being in a venue, meeting people, like those kind of spontaneous ideas. The like spontaneity of just being in a creative environment is like how the work gets made. Or like, you have a conversation with someone and then they go, oh, you should talk to this person, and then all of a sudden you have like the sketchings of an idea. If you're sitting in your house, you can't be doing that, I think. So
I mean, because it's that coupled with what you were saying earlier, this thing of just like not being able to focus. Having, like, sometimes the attention span of a flea. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you felt that too? Is that just me, or?
Absolutely. I absolutely just. I did have a little bit of paranoia at the start, like, oh my God. Because also I was just about to open a show. I was in Pakistan, and we were 1 week away from opening night, and then they shut down all public events, and we had to fly back immediately. And then the day after we landed here, our airport was closed. So that was kind of lucky.
Oh my God! Imagine.
Yeah, but when you get to that point, you're a really good place with the play and things. So I mean, that was a little bit traumatic, and I sort of watched this whole thing developing with a kind of in complete denial for the longest time, going, no, it's not going to come here. It's not going to, it's not, it's something that's happening over there. But then that just changed in a matter of days, didn't it? And then, I mean, for us, it was like everything shut down by the 17th of March. That was it. So,
yes, same. Yeah, that's our day as well. But like, also, it's weird how. Do you think that's something to do with being on an island? Because I felt the same way. I was like, oh, it'll happen in the UK. It won't happen here. It just happened. Like in my head, that was it for ages.
Yes, to other bigger people, or somewhere there, it's not coming here. Yeah,
we're not important enough for COVID.
No. Yeah. So, do you feel tempted in any way to move to a digital platform? Because one thing, and again, this is from an interview that you've given a couple of years ago, and you say you make performance art and you're always playing with structure and liveness and different audiences. So do you fancy you might head in that direction? Like, are you thinking about it? Does it seem enticing?
No, not really. No, like, no. I'm interested in making videos, and like I'm in conversation with 2 different video artists at the minute, who I'm going to collaborate with and make 2 different things. One of whom is like a filmmaker, called, in fact, I won't tell you in case it doesn't happen. She's a filmmaker. She's like super, super talented. And she makes film in kind of more traditional way than the other person I'm working with, who is like more a video artist. She has a video synthesizer and it's like all very digitally led. So I am interested in making work in that kind of way, which is digital. And I think although I already had those ideas, like they were massively accelerated by lockdown. Like I really have an urge to like put something out into the world. But I'm not interested in like Zoom theater or like making like loads of little tiny videos on a TikTok or, I don't know. I feel like what I really want to do is be in a room with other people. And like, I feel like theater is about a shared experience and about bodies. And I'm really reluctant to put a screen to integrate a screen into anything else, anything extra, because already our lives, well, my life is so screen heavy.
Yep.
So I don't want that. I think we need to like look at the horizon more.
Yeah. And more about connection. Really.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. I was just reminded, have you seen that animated film Wall-E?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, I mean, it's a robot love story, but basically it's very far in the future. And humans can't walk. They're on these like motorized sunbeds and they can't do anything for themselves. They're surrounded by these little screens and they all have a robot who sort of helps them stand up and get dressed. Like we've lost the capacity to do everything. We've become so sedentary and just so controlled by all these screens. And I feel like that's not far off really in some sort of future.
Yeah, exactly. I think we shouldn't encourage it anymore. Yeah.
Oh well. All right. I want to talk about your work a little bit more now, and
Okay.
and this is also from an interview in 2017, and it's for your play. It's getting harder and harder for me, and you're talking about Belfast, and you mention, and I'm quoting this: the ghosts of the past and history always being in the air, in the walls, in our bones. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, because I'm kind of presuming, that it's to do, with your history of paramilitarism. But can you talk to me a little bit about how that is manifested, the ghosts of history?
Yeah. I guess we've had so much happen here over like, well, I guess 40, 50-year period. A lot of it's never really been cleared up. Like a lot of there hasn't really been on like an official level, like any sort of peace and reconciliation movements. And like there's a lot of kind of shying away from the truth. Like actually I got this book in the post today. Can you see this? Yeah. By this
Lyra McKee. What is that?
Yeah.
Lost, found, remembered. Okay.
Lost, found, remembered. Yeah. So Lyra McKee was a young journalist who was shot in 2019 in April. She was.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So she was a young gay woman who was a journalist here in Northern Ireland, and I say that she was gay because it was kind of a big part of what she wrote about and her identity. She will speak about this issue a lot more than me, but people of my generation now, because our parents could never deal with the shit that they went through, then I think there's like an inherited trauma. So now the people of my generation, we are kind of trying to deal with all this shit that we don't really, like, we understand it fully, obviously, but like we don't necessarily have a cohesive language to talk about it or a cohesive language to like move forward, because we're all well, a lot of the country is still kind of trying to deal with what happened in the past. And a lot of people, like, because of like these things are so inherently linked with like poverty and lack of opportunity, or like even like a feeling that you have a lack of opportunity. There's like a certain bitterness as well. And like now a lot of the paramilitaries still exist and still like claim to be like fighting for freedom or whatever, but actually they're just like gangs, they're drug dealers, they're vigilantes, they're hooligans, they're collecting protection money, they're selling shit cocaine, whatever you want. So they're still here, like, and like occasionally you'll see, well, you'll see, not occasionally, but like all the time you'll see like
Right.
little like gestures. Like I was walking outside my house. My house is like near the river, and there's a bridge, and it's called King's Bridge. But I was walking on it one day recently, and I saw this man putting up a sign that he'd printed out on like acetate or something, and it said Brian Boru Bridge. So I stopped him. I was like, "Who's Brian Boru?" So Brian Boru was a Gaelic warrior who fought the Vikings or something, and like I don't know. He's not like he's probably he's an important historical figure, but like our history has been like completely imperialized. So there's this group of people who are trying to rename things like Kingsbridge away from like these imperial colonialist titles into like a more Gaelic traditional thing. So I was like, cool, like that's a really good idea. That's great. And then he was like, well, we'll see how long it lasts. So the next day I walked past and someone had ripped off the sign and thrown it into the bushes beside the river. So it's like, you know, just stuff like that. It's like, it's everywhere. Like everything, almost everything that happens here is defined by something to do with the past.
Yeah. And what you were saying about, you know, the paramilitaries being really drug dealers and things like that, that's kind of the subject of Jade City, another play of yours. Sounds just fascinating.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Jade City was like a real kind of passion project. Like I guess I was like very angry when I wrote it. Not angry. I was like very angry about the situation. I wasn't angry myself. But yeah, like these people have so much control on certain areas and like have so much, and it's like a psychological thing. It's like not necessarily like they probably realize they're doing it, but like it's not like they get up every morning and decide I'm going to control this area. It's just like their kind of God-given right. Like in the area that Jade City is set in, I used to live there, and I was walking one morning to a rehearsal, and I saw this this woman who was she's a black woman, and her car had been burnt out. So like some like racists had burnt her car out, like burnt her car to a crisp. It's just like it was the most like it was like one of the most violent things I'd ever seen. Like and how would that go through your head that you would get up in the middle of the night and burn a woman's car because she was a black person? So like, and then that makes it look like everybody in the area is on the same page. It makes it look like, because it's such a huge symbol, you think, oh, okay, everybody who lives in that area is racist.
Yeah.
And then it's just like it's all so symbolic. And then people think, oh, I live in an area with racists. I live in an area that's shit. My life's going to be shit as well. You know, it just kind of all like becomes very, very insipid. And like the paramilitary control is like, I guess people might not even realize that, you know, there's all these like certain groups that are called like blah 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 group, like community support group, but they're actually paramilitaries. Like they're called like community support or like community minders or whatever, but they're just here to like
just another name for something else.
For like intimidation and for complete violence. Like, and I think like this like even on that same street that I was on, like there was a man who got a brick through his window because he was Catholic, and like just stuff like that. You're like, oh, for God's sake. But like, obviously not all of Belfast is like that. There's only like a very tiny minority of people who are like that here, but they're just so big and loud. And I guess it's like trying to like share a house with like a lion. Like it's never going to work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a good
No,
place.
it's kind of the same here. It's just it's not a lot of people, but those people are the most vocal. And the rest of us are kind of um, not speak. I mean, there is. I don't know if it's the same there, but over here there's a huge culture of self-censorship. As a result of the war, and then, abductions and things like that. People just don't speak out for fear.
Yeah. And then where does that thought go? Because that thought's still in your head. So if you can't get it out, like, yeah, where does
Then you
it go?
kind of you put it in a dark room in your mind palace, and you try to
Yeah.
ignore it, and you just walk by it, and
Yeah.
because you have other things to do, like live.
Yeah.
um, you know it's really interesting to hear you talk about all this, Alice, because when I started sort of engaging with original work, and I wanted to really comment directly on Sri Lanka, and I was, these words, peace and reconciliation, they were big in my mind. This is like, more than 10 years ago now. And one thing that really influenced me was I actually read the Northern Ireland sort of strategies for peace and for reconciliation. I was really kind of inspired by that. And I thought, well, hey, these people, sound like they know what they're doing. So I'm going to try and follow that. Um,
Yeah.
but it hasn't worked, has it? I mean, and you are working in that field, in the sense of the sort of issues you're engaging with. Has it worked? Is it working?
I think it's really, yeah, I do actually think it has worked in many, many ways. Like there's a lot more community cohesion than there would have been in the past. There's a lot more like shared spaces, and there has been a lot of effort, mainly at a grassroots level, to like kind of bring communities together and kind of move beyond this idea of like Protestants, Catholics. Like, I think one of the biggest issues is actually it's not sectarianism, it's poverty. Like we don't really have the kind of language here to talk about class and about poverty, and about how like living in poverty can affect your access to more resources, obviously, but like to education and to betterment and to kind of a positive sense of self-worth. So you're not going to be drawn to hatred and divide. So we have some of the highest levels of poverty in Europe in some areas here, like the highest levels of child illiteracy, that kind of thing. And like when you have that going on, like it's not going to be on a parent's mind to go and meet some Catholic children, go and meet some Protestant children. Like it's
Mm,
the kind of everyday struggle. It becomes like about survival. Um, like, yeah, no, I do think Northern Ireland has come like a long, long, long way, but like we just like it's more like within communities there is so much stuff going on. Like it's not really like Protestant versus Catholic anymore. Thankfully, it's more like within these communities there's like rival types of nationalists, like it, and rival types of loyalists. Kind of, I guess they would say they're like paramilitaries, but they're just thugs. So
oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah. Um, did
Mhm.
people want reconciliation, like in general? Did they understand what it meant, and did they really engage with it, do you think?
Um, I think people really, really wanted reconciliation, but a lot of people didn't want to sacrifice their power or their hold or their land or their ability to get jobs or education. And I think a lot of like, I'm definitely not an expert on this, but like
No.
traditionally Catholic education has been a lot better here. And that means that now, like, a lot more Catholics are, better educated. So, like, getting better jobs and stuff like that, or getting access to better jobs. So, like, there might be kind of a bitterness growing within certain types of Protestant people who maybe before thought they were just kind of entitled to things. And now that isn't happening because, well, for a lot of different reasons, they haven't, like, got that education or got the kind of skills that they didn't really need before because they would have just been ushered in. So I think, yeah, people did want it, but like they also, if they were comfortable, they didn't think it was for them. They didn't need it.
Yeah.
So
for us, I don't think it has quite worked. I mean, it is sort of, it's language based and, you know, ethnicity based. And I think our experiences are the same in that over here also is that people don't really understand what it means and why it's necessary because we have so much poverty. And like you're saying, it's you know, it denies you so much. It leads to lack of education. It leads to abuse. And, you know, that is just terrible across the board here. And that, again, is something, I think, in terms of abuse that you've also started working with, haven't you? And I'm talking about one of your plays. And that's when it's getting harder and harder for me.
Well, it's a huge issue here, and it kind of bleeds into a lot of my work. And we've been talking about it a lot with this new piece that I'm working on, this adaptation of Lysistrata. There's just so much like historical abuse going on, like, and it's all like it's all part of patriarchal society. So like we were in this really bad funk, my collaborator and I, of like researching like sexual abuse and child sexual abuse and sexual abuse against women and rape against women, and then like familial sexual abuse and all this. And it was just like so heavy, and it's huge. Like, I don't think it's huge just here in Ireland. I think it's huge everywhere in the world. But like, I kind of had to step away from it because it was just, and I guess, I spent a long time kind of thinking about it, and even like the abuse of like living in a patriarchy. Like, living in the patriarchy is, a woman will abuse herself mentally, I think, about certain things. So for like my own sanity, I had to kind of stop that. It was not good. It was not good. But like, I'm really trying to make work that is joyful at the minute. I don't mean like saccharine, like, oh, everything should be lilac, and like, but just like a way to like instill hope and joy, and like provide a space that can be joyful is like, for me, really important. So it's a battle, though. It's a battle.
Yes. Because you even can start out from a joyful place, and then you sort of follow something, and then suddenly the play is changing, and you're like, uh-oh.
I know, it's easy to kind of tell stories about the loss of hope, but like, I want to challenge myself to kind of go beyond that and like actually provide a space where like you ask people to make little changes. But it's hard, very hard.
You are a passionate feminist.
Yes, it's so tiring. No, I am.
Yes. And I want to talk briefly about an experience you had in 2018. You were in India for a month. And then you began creating a show called Goddess, if I'm correct. And when you were talking about that, sorry?
It was called Goddess, but now I called it Tongue, like this.
Oh, okay. So we've already been talking about it. Okay.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to, again, this quote you've given where you've said, I'm a very passionate feminist. And you're saying living in Northern Ireland, which in my opinion is incredibly patriarchal, has greatly inspired the writing and my writing in general. So I just want to ask you, what do you think like the biggest obstacle to equality in Northern Ireland is right now?
Men. No, not really, not really. It's not that divided. I think the biggest it's just like traditional, like so many, because it's like so insipid. Like I think a lot of women don't, a lot of people actually, not even just women, like a lot of people don't know how to speak up for themselves. They don't know how to be strong. They don't feel like they deserve to be strong and to kind of challenge the societal structures. And like there's a lot of like, I guess even like casual homophobia and like casual sexism and like rape jokes and stuff are like still prominent in our world.
Yeah.
And like the biggest challenge is like, okay, so you have to first of all work out a way to challenge that in a way that isn't like, doesn't just build up a wall between you and the offender. Like you can't, I don't really believe in this just like silencing people. I think that just is going to build like little camps everywhere. I think you need to have the energy and the voice and the kind of belief in yourself that you can maybe help someone change their mind and just be a little bit more open-minded and a little less violent. But that is hard, because then for even for like 10 minutes, if it's, say it's at a party, you become the fucking boring person in the corner who's like telling someone they're not coming or not funny because
Yeah.
they're telling a violent joke. And then you have to kind of put yourself on the line every time, and it's really hard. And that's just one example, but like imagine that on like a bigger
All the
scale, you
time.
know, all the fucking time. So
Yes. And
yeah,
then you
it's
really
tiring.
become the killjoy, don't you?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to be the killjoy. No, and because everyone knows each other here, like you can't really do anything anonymously. So it's just like it's hard, and like so many relationships are kind of built on this dynamic. And then if you start trying to change the dynamic, then like I guess you have to worry that you're gonna like alienate yourself or your family or embarrass yourself. And it is really difficult. But like also like because men have been in positions of power for so long, like you have, we're starting massively to question the status quo now, but like the status quo is like solid. It's like a solid rock here. So yeah, I'm even like tired thinking about this shit.
Oh.
And like I know,
Oh.
but like also, you know, I am a confident person. I have an education and stuff like that. Like I have privilege. I know that. And like it's, you know, it's not as simple as like men versus women. Like that is daft. Like there's so much like class overlap and interjection and color and like gender and sexuality involved in this really horrible structure we live in as well. It's not like, you know, I hold privilege even within a patriarchy, which is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like so yeah, like it's not as simple. I think like another really damaging thing that is, I think, in danger of happening is that it just becomes about men versus women, and then like the patriarchy really harms men as well, obviously. So
Yeah, I mean, and
just
that's a really simplistic way of thinking about it. But in
yeah,
arguments, it seems to be the thing that comes up because it's the easiest thing to say. Um,
yeah,
you know, people aren't necessarily willing to listen.
yeah,
And have you noticed in arguments that people will very rarely change their mind because that looks like they're losing? You
yeah,
know,
completely,
it's so
yeah,
much more difficult to say, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way,
yeah,
maybe I should. You know,
yeah,
it's much easier to say, you know, well, you're
yeah,
just I don't know, you know, it just
yeah,
then descends into just something ugly.
yeah,
um
exactly.
Now here's another thing. When you look at feminism across the globe, what do you think the biggest victories have been in the recent past?
For me, 100% is the abortion provision in Ireland. And I know that's not looking across the globe, that's just looking like down the road. But like the fact
Yeah.
that the repeal the eighth movement was started like completely at a grassroots level, like that campaign to get abortion provision for women in Ireland was completely won by like people going out and knocking on doors and convincing people to vote yes for to get rid of this really disgusting
And that must have
legislation.
been just so hugely
Yeah,
controversial.
it
Yeah.
was, and like even like you know people fell out over it. Like people's families were divided over it. Like people were fucking exhausted. Like feminist campaigners were exhausted because of the campaign, but they won, and in I think October of this year, we got abortion provision legalized here in the north of Ireland, like just because of like some like bullshit fuck up of bureaucracy. Like the government couldn't get their shit together to stop this motion, which had been put in place, but or something. I don't even know. It was like so convoluted and complicated, but it had also been done. It had been a campaign that was started by like small grassroots organizations, and they had just driven and driven and driven forward and like managed to get politicians on side and managed to get it over the line. Like it's still not perfect, but I think stuff like that is just like it's amazing. Like and it's that's kind of been my focus since like 2018. Like I've been really, really, really impressed and inspired by those kind of movements.
Yeah.
The same with
I
like marriage
noticed that
equality
you've
here.
been donating to them.
Pardon?
I
I've
noticed
been
you've
donating.
been, yeah.
Yeah. I have like a little standing order that I do every month to a campaign group, and then I ran a half marathon last year. That was a fundraiser for it, and like, yeah, I'm very passionate about this cause. I just feel like women's bodies have been so for so long the kind of property of men and under the control of men. Um, and like we still can't really have like comfortable conversations about reproductivity. Like you know, if you say you don't want to have children, you're seen as like fucking lunatic. So I feel like it's really really
Unnatural.
important.
You're an unnatural person.
You're a
Yeah.
witch. Yeah. Actually
Hmm.
started reading the Crucible recently.
Yeah.
Like I read it when I was like 14 or 15, but like the gaslighting that goes on in that play, like that is a play about gaslighting pretty much. Like it's it's mad. It's mad.
Yeah. The hysteria is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, do you think I'm still sticking to feminism, and this is leading up to a question that I want to ask you specifically. But before I get to that question, do you think there's enough communication between generations of feminists?
Um no, definitely not. And I think that is a big problem between like I worry that like feminists of my age and younger than me like maybe like think they invented feminism where like
Yeah.
it kind of could override the actions of like these women who have from you know day one been fighting for their rights. So no, I don't think so. I think we have like so much to learn from these women. Like I think we really need to acknowledge these people every day when we feel like we're like inventing this shit, because we're not. Like we're just kind of we're pushing the train forward, but we're not driving it.
I agree, but I also think like there are some people who equally, like older people, are unwilling to learn like new developments. Like for me, like the most amazing thing is that gender and sexuality have become fluid. You know, it's not this fixed
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And some people just really refusing to understand that, or like think about it a little bit. Okay, and I've got like the whole J.K. Rowling
yeah,
sort of fiasco that happened recently in
Yeah,
mind.
God. Yeah, I know. Yeah, really, like my friend's mom, she has become like really transphobic. So it's like, fuck, like she was like I guess I really admired her as well. Like she was a very strong, independent woman. She was a feminist. She like kind of denounced having any male partners for as long as I had known him and her. But like now she's like transphobic, and it's like, how do you respect and admire someone when they have those views? But like also you can't denounce her like passionate commitment to her version of feminism.
Yeah.
But like she's also kind of got this like really exclusionary part of her thoughts. So yeah, I don't know. I think,
Yeah.
we all just need to be a little more open minded. And also, yeah, you can't tell. I can, it's not up to my friend to tell her that her views are wrong, because then, like, yeah, there's going to be no changing of minds there, like you were saying. There's going to be no kind of development of thought. Like she has to come to that in her own way somehow. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I find it fascinating right now, and I want to ask you this because you're a boxer, and
yeah,
I mean, you are Belfast Boxing Academy's senior boxer for 2017, Alice
yeah.
Malseed. Um, and I mean, I admire that, really. I mean, it's that wannabe in me. It's a real sort of like, I want to be a boxer. I even
You still
bought some
can.
gloves. Yeah, I know. I bought gloves the next step is to actually sort of start doing it. But I want to ask you this because it's something that Martina Navratilova brought up a few years ago. And she's a tennis player. She's a prominent LGBTQ activist. And she supports the transgender community. But she said she is concerned about what it will do in terms of a level playing field in sports.
I don't know. I feel like we need to kind of accept that that's a change that might have to happen in sport. Like I find it difficult in boxing. Like there are like I would, if say I weigh like 60 kilograms, I would only ever fight a woman who weighed 60 kilograms. But like that's daft, right? Because it's all about weight. So like why can't I fight a guy who weighs 60 kilos? There's no reason why he wouldn't be, or I wouldn't be able to beat him. Like it's stupid. So I don't think, I think it should just be about like individual merit, individual bodies, rather than like gender. I think we need to kind of accept that if we want the world to change, like those really basic structures that we have in place need to change as well.
That's very exciting. Yeah. I mean, while writing this question for you, I also kind of answered it myself,
Yeah.
and came to pretty much that same conclusion: is that all these basic structures, the whole thing of women's 100 meters and men's 100 meters and stuff, all that can change.
Yeah. And then if you train the individuals, like if the individuals had all access to the same training camp, the same coaches, the same diet, same nutrition, I don't see a reason why they couldn't all compete at the same on the same platform. Like it's just because I guess there's such less funding in female sport. There's such less kind of opportunity and natural development and progression of female athletes. That's the only reason they may not be as good on a competitive level as men. But like if you just get rid of all
Okay,
that shit, then
right.
yeah. But I don't know.
That's it. Yeah. No, I mean, it makes complete sense to me. It just makes the future and more exciting, really,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, because it seems like a natural progression. It might take a while,
Yeah.
but I think it might get there. Um, I'm going to stop asking questions
Okay.
and show you this instead. This is from Tilinika Jayasinghe. And she says, wonderful discussion. Alice, do you think this global pandemic was a chance to change the way the public consumes theatre? And would this change make theatre survive future challenges better? Thank you.
That's really interesting. And I think like a lot of discussion on Twitter at the minute has been about this. I think it could be. I think it could be a really exciting way for the public to change how they consume theatre. But to do that, we probably need to pump more resources into it rather than I'm just really scared that when the doors open again, it's going to be like the same kind of privileged white voices getting their stories told. It's going to be like people who know how to speak the right way get in the door. I think if we want to change, like, it's an amazing opportunity because it's almost like we've kind of thrown this thing up in the air and we need to see how it lands. But like, I think we should stop and see how it lands rather than just like put it back together again the way it was. And I don't know, I'm really scared that it won't actually survive. So I can't even think about future challenges. Please don't make me think about the future. It's too scary.
Listen. From theatrical history, I can tell you it will survive.
Yeah, of course it has to.
Yeah, it will. It will. You know, it has survived plague and famine and war and everything, and it is going to survive. It's just very hard at this moment. I don't think we have survived. We've ever come across this particular challenge. But I'm sure we will find our way around it. Really. Okay, there's Selinica saying, thanks, Alice. Hopeful for the future. I think theatre would survive as long as we create more and more speculative futures as theatre practitioners and adopt and adapt as we go.
Yeah, 100%. That adaptation and flexible thinking is like so important. So we can't ever forget that. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Selinica. And it's just one last thing from you, which is books by your bed.
Oh my God. So I've had like a really funny relationship with reading during lockdown. Like at the start, I was reading loads. But yeah, I've like got about 4 books on the go at the minute, which like stresses me out. So I'm in the middle of reading The Crucible. I'm also in the middle of reading this theatre practice book called Different Every Night by Mike Alfreds, which is really, really good, actually. I recommend it. And then I'm also in the middle of reading this book called Californian Dreaming, which is a collection of short stories by like diasporic writers and from across the world. It's really, really good. And then, this Lyra McKee book, which I just got in the post. But like, it's too many. I usually only read 1 book at a time, and I'm just so stressed out. I actually wish somebody would just take all the books away from me and just give me one at a time so I could just finish something. But
it's that attention span thing.
Yeah,
it really is. I'm reading. I'm dipping in and out of 2 books, and I just keep, and then I just took on a 3rd, and I'm reading that, and now that's annoying me, and I can't read it. So I
it's not fun. Why do we do this to ourselves?
I think it's screens as well, right? The way kind of social media has changed even our attention spans. I think it's just become a lot more evident in lockdown.
100%.
Yes. But on that note, Alice, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a superb evening at the pub, a very safe one.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm going to the gym first. That's where I have to go now. I'm going to the gym because gyms have just reopened and I can't continue to drink so much gin unless I'm going to do some exercise. So I'm going to go do that and then I'm going to drink. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
And you. Take care.
All right. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.